Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today is all about negotiating unpredictability. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, take a rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice coming into a comfortable child pose. Let's do big toes together. Knees splayed open nice and wide. We're going to extend the arms long and lengthened on the mat, taking a little bow, forehead to floor, and just beginning to stretch through the length of the arms. Press down into the palms, feel that stretch through the shoulders. Make your bum bones nice and heavy to the heels of your feet. Then let's begin to take a little off-center creep. We'll keep still from the waist down and try to move the waist up as we creep off-center to one side as far as we can, keeping our head just hovering off the floor as we execute that creep. When you've creeped as far as you can, hold and breathe as deeply as you can into the open side of your ribs. Find your way back to center to repeat the creep on the second side. Finding the open side of your ribs and breathing into it generously. Ease your way back to center. Keep the big toes together and the knees splayed nice and wide as you come into a modified 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Start to move through some dynamic rounds of cat-cow, thinking about alternating between a hollow back and a rounded back. Keep your breath ratio 1-to-1. Just think of this as some gentle mobilization and waking up through the back. And then the next time you find yourself in the cow frame with your hollow back, hold. Breathe as deeply as you can into your chest and the front of your ribs. Keep your belly button gently pulled into center and don't sink down between the two shoulder blades. Come back to a few dynamic rounds of cat-cow, alternating between that hollow frame and that rounded frame through the back. Then the next time you find yourself in the cat frame, hold it. Breathe as deeply as you can into your shoulders and the back of your ribs. Lead your way to a neutral table line and take a small lizard step out on the right. You can keep that back foot angled in or you can bring it into a parallel line. So we're going to step out, little lizard step out on the right. You're going to lean forward into the wrists and then maybe come onto the tips of your fingers as you press back and then extend the leg and start to alternate between a slightly off-center hamstring stretch. We're going to be a little bit unpredictable today and maybe tweaking the poses just a little bit to get into those tight nooks and crannies a little bit differently today. Alternating between a little off-center hamstring stretch and a little lean forward into lizard. We're going to end in the lizard stretch and hold, pressing down into the palms, keeping that off-center step, and we're going to ground through the whole foot today, but lean forward into the wrists and trying to hold the stretch into the hip flexors. Find your way back into your little diamond frame to repeat the lizard step out on the left side. When you're ready, come onto the tips of your fingers. Start to straighten the front leg and we lean back slightly off center as we find that hamstring stretch today. Keeping the back foot angled in slightly at 45 and actively pressing into the top of the back foot. End in the lizard stretch. Relax down into the palms and lean your chin forward, pressing down to all four quadrants of that front foot. Bleed your way back into that little big toe together, knees splayed open nice and wide. Take a big breath in. We're going to thread the needle from here. Float the right arm up to the sky. On an exhale, thread through underneath the left armpit, coming to rest on the side of your head. Pulling your belly button in and trying to keep your hips stacked gently over your knees. Bleed your way back to your modified 4-point meal and repeat the thread on the second side. Try to reach through as long as you can through that threaded arm and make that whole threaded arm nice and heavy to the mat. Bleed your way back to your diamond 4-point meal, and then let's try to come into, think of it as a down dog with a little Pilates V foot line. So you're going to tuck the toes under, your heels are touching and your toes are tucked under. You're going to find your down dog, and then you're going to start to play with some V heel lifts here, keeping that bum piped up nice and high, and looking for a nice little bit of work through the calves, through that tight spot behind the knees, bleeding into the hamstrings and maybe even the glutes. Then hold your V down dog. Make your crown nice and heavy to the floor like a little bell. Ease your way from here into a traditional 4-point meal with your feet stacking directly behind your knees. And then press back, bum to heel, pressing into your palms, taking a little bow to the floor here. We're going to find that off-center creep. This time the feet are in parallel, and as you creep off-center to one side, you're going to take the hand on the same side of the body, reaching for the undercarriage of that foot. You're going to give it a little tug into center, and you're going to hold the stretch, pressing and anchoring through the other palm that's connected to the mat or the floor. Creep your way back to center. Press down and take a little stretch. And then when you're ready, do the same on the second side. Taking your walk off center, taking the hand that's on the same side and reaching for the foot on the same side of the body, pressing down to the palm of your anchoring hand. Lead your way back to center. Find your way back into a 4-point kneel. As we play once again in cat-cow Chakravartasana, this time feet are stacking directly behind the knees, and you're going to find a gentle 1-to-1 inhalation to exhalation ratio synced to your movement. Hold your next cow, thinking hollow back, breathing nice and deeply into your chest center and the front of your ribs. Back to cat-cow. Hold your next cat. Breathing into the shoulders and the back of your ribs. Ease your way to neutral. We're going to come into a little thoracic rotation here. And once we've found it, we'll add to it. So keep the right hand where it is. Tuck the left hand behind your head. Reach the left elbow for the sky, starting to find a little rotation through the thorax. And then tap left elbow to the inseam of the right arm. And do that maybe 5 times, nice and slow. End in the reach and hold, maybe for a slow count of 10. Then let's do the same on the second side. Tucking your right hand behind the head, looking for that little rotation through the thorax. Giving yourself maybe 5 slow rotations. Ending in the reach, hold. Come back to 4-point kneeling. We're going to find that thoracic rotation again, but we're going to add a modified side angle to it. Take a little lunge step forward on the right, trying to bring that foot flush against your right palm. Focus on the back leg. You're going to rotate that foot in so it's stacking behind your knee. Then you're going to tuck the left elbow up, left hand behind your head, elbow to sky, and now tap to the inseam of the right arm and give yourself 5 slow, modified, side angle, thoracic rotations. Right arm flush against the right foot, looking for that press in with the hand, so you're using it as a splint. Reach for the sky and hold the stretcher for a slow count of 10. Thinking elbow to sky, squeezing in with your right leg, resisting with your right arm. Then bleed your way back to your 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. To repeat on the left. Step the left leg up, flush. So squeeze in with the leg, resist with the arm. Then rotate the right foot in. Tuck the right hand behind your head, elbow to sky, and find that thoracic rotation, giving yourself 5 slow, controlled rotations through the thorax. And elbow to sky and hold. Lead your way from here back. Actually, no, let's change it from here. So as you start to unravel, step the left foot out. So you're coming back into a lizard-like step. You're going to replicate the line on the right to come into a deep squat and drop down, thinking bum bones floating just off the floor. If coming low to the mat is not an option, maybe find a midway squat, maybe play with the side-to-side release or hold steady. You can play with that same release. If you're dropping down, maybe you want to play with a little alternating heel lift till the groin muscles release, and then hold it. And let's do high spider fingertips to the floor and just use our triceps and our elbows to gently press out and try to get a little bit more stretch into the groin area. Settling into Malasana. Looking for heavy bum bones, a nice little stretch through the spine. Beautiful opening into the whole sacral area. Stay here in your deep squat. Or perhaps look for an opportunity to come into crow pose, Bakasana from here, placing your palms on the mat. Maybe you'd like to step the toes in and then find a lean into the tricep, maybe lifting one foot off the mat, maybe you lift the other foot off the mat, or perhaps you just like to play with a lean into the triceps, keeping both toes on the mat and just hold. Find what works for you. Looking for balance, looking for control. Find your way from here back into child pose. Big toes together, knees open nice and wide. Drop the forearms to the mat, rotate them in, stacking one arm and one palm on top of the other. Hold steady here. Maybe you'd like to add a little roll through the forehead. Maybe you want to have a little bit of tension that you're holding on to that you'd like to just gently iron out. Try to find the mid-back and breathe as deeply as you can into it. Enjoy that little stretch into the pec area as you gently press into your elbow points. Bleed your way from here into a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat, feet stacking directly behind your knees in a parallel line. Keeping as stable as you can through the shoulder girdle, and we'll play with a little alternating pattern here. You're going to slide the right arm out as far as it will go, then trace a quarter circle out, and trace your way back to start to find an alternating pattern. Sliding one arm out, tracing a quarter circle, and then bleeding your way back, trying to keep as stable as you can through the shoulders. So you're trying not to dip lower on one side as you slide and play. Keeping belly to spine throughout and keeping that long stretch through the neck and the spine. Let's do 4 more sets like this. One more on each side. Then we're going to try to replicate this work through the legs. Now our focus is on pelvic stability. So slide one leg up, trace a quarter circle to the side, and then bleed your way back, trying to keep it stable through the pelvis as you play. Keeping belly to spine throughout, and we're shooting for roughly 10 repetitions. Keep belly to spine, don't drop your head through the neutral line. Let's do one more to each side. Then we're going to combine those 2 movement patterns together, and we will work opposite hand and leg. Alright, so for the first set, you're going to stretch right fingertips and left foot up. Trace your quarter circle and bleed back, and then do the same with the other 2 limbs. Starting to find a nice little alternating pattern. Keeping belly to spine throughout, keeping that long stretch through the neck and the spine. Let's do one more trace to either side. Then find your way back to 4-point kneeling. We're going to thread the needle from a full 4-point kneel. Take a big breath in, floating the right arm up to the sky, breathing into the right side of your ribs. On an exhale, thread underneath the left armpit, coming to rest on the side of your head, keeping Come hips over knees. And then maybe you can float the left arm up, reach around for the opposite hip, hold, and breathe as deeply as you can into the left side of your ribs. Trying to hold maybe for a slow count of 10, keeping belly to spine throughout. Trying to hold all of the weight in your core as best you can so that you're not leaning everything into your head, your neck, or your shoulder. Lead your way back. Let's do the same on side 2. Big breath in. Float the left arm up to the sky. Breathe into the left side of your ribs. On an exhale, find your thread. And then when you're ready, reach through hand to opposite hip. So the right hand reaching for the left hip. Breathe as deeply as you can into the right side of your ribs. Keep belly to spine and hold the weight in your core. Ease your way back to 4-point kneeling. Let's do big toes together, knees open nice and wide as we come back into child pose. And this time, just drape the arms alongside the body like 2 limp noodles, actively pressing into your third eye and holding, or finding that little roll through your forehead if you like. Ease your way back into extended child, bringing the legs back into a parallel line as you do so. We are going to walk the legs up one at a time. Let's do a little step up. Bringing the feet to stacking directly underneath your hips. Sit back into a chair. Hold onto your elbows, stacking the forearms, and just sit back into a little chair, trying to find a nice parallel leg line so that you can really feel the work into the glutes, into the hamstrings, into the quads. Then ragdoll style, peel up into a nice tall stand. Feet stacking maybe directly underneath your hips, and relax the arms alongside the body, palms looking in the same orientation as your face. Take a big breath in to circle the arms overhead and come down in active prayer. Let's do that twice more. Big breath in as you circle, opening up the ribs in 4 dimensions as you take a beautiful inhale. And then exhaling to press into the palms, feel the ribs falling into center, squeezing all that stale air out. One more time. End with your hands in front of your heart. Hold the prayer position as you come into an overhead back bend. Exhale to fold forward, coming into table, holding the prayer hands in front of your heart. We're going to do that twice more. Find your prayer back bend, bumping your hips forward over your knees, and then exhaling to come into a tabletop stretch through the entire line of your spine. One more time. Find your way into a 4-point kneeling frame from here, bending the knees, placing your hands on the mat. And then lift the feet off the mat, maybe crossing at the ankles. I'm doing the right over left. We're going to chaturanga down as slow as we can. So think double oil rigger. Keep your elbows hugging in towards your ribs as you slowly bend them, trying to come down as slowly as you can to the mat. So you're really feeling those arms working, feeling the core working. You have to hold your body weight. Try to hover your chin and your chest just off the floor for maybe 5 seconds. Then keep the cross of your feet as you arrive on the belly, extending the legs, tapping your forehead to the floor. Keep your elbows squeezed into center. We're coming into a cross ankle cobra. Find an imaginary marble underneath your nose. Begin to roll it away with the tip of your nose and breathe up into a small chest lift that works for you. You could do 4 ribs, 3 ribs, 2 ribs, or only 1 rib on the floor. Maybe the back is feeling good and you can hold the cross ankle position and press up, resting on your kneecaps in a modified, think of it as a modified extended cobra. Maybe you can bring the knees off the floor and press actively into the tops of your feet in a modified crossed foot up dog. Then relax the knees to the floor. Start to think of wanting to unravel the cross of your ankles and instead crossing your right foot over your left. Start to sit back in a modified thunderbolt. You can open the knees as widely or as narrowly as is comfortable for you. And just find a little bit of a seat here, trying to press the weight of your bum into the heels of your feet. And you are putting a little bit of pressure into those feet and the ankles as well. So it might feel a little bit uncomfortable as you sit back, trying to keep the right foot crossed over the left. We're going to find our way from here into a down dog frame, unraveling the feet, tucking the toes under. Start to play with that heel lift, this time from a parallel leg line. Then sink the weight of your heels to the floor. Enjoy that delicious stretch. Take the right foot, cross it behind the left, hold. And then start to look off the front of your mat and hold your down dog here, elbows squeezing into center. Relax your crown back down to the floor, stick your legs back into parallel. Come onto the tips of your fingertips, bend your knees, coming into a relaxed dog and hold. And then use the relaxed dog to give me a little hop up, landing softly on the balls of your feet. Find your way back into your stacked chair, holding onto your elbows and your forearms, and giving yourself at least 10 counts here. Then relax, unravel, start to roll up, ragdoll style, restacking, realigning your body in one long, comfortable summer CT stand. Arms relaxed at your side, palms looking in the same orientation as your face. Take a big breath in to circle the arms. We're going to come down in active prayer on the exhale. Twice more. Keep your hands in prayer. We're coming into an overhead prayer back bend. Bump your hips forward, hold, brace your core. Exhale to fold forward in table with your prayer hands stacked in front of your heart. Stretch through the entire line of the spine, then repeat twice more. Your back bend on the inhale. Exhale to find your table. One more time. We're going to find our way from here to a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. And this time we're going to cross the left ankle over the right, lifting both feet off the floor as we come into a modified chaturanga dandasana, coming down slowly. Try to maybe use a slow count of 10 to come down. So you're really loading through the arms, making a core work, making the arms work. Hold that hovering position if you can for a slow count. Keep the cross of your ankles. Relax the legs to the mat. Relax your forehead to the mat. Keep your elbows squeezed into center. We're going to find that cross-foot cobra, Bhujangasana. Find that marble underneath your nose. Start to roll it up. Begin to articulate up into the chest lift height that resonates for your back today. Maybe you're actively pressing into the knees, keeping the tops of your feet pressing into the mat as you come into a modified cobra. Then maybe translate it into an up dog by bringing the knees off the floor and pressing actively into the tops of your feet. Relax your knees back to the floor and change the cross so that now you've got just the tops of your feet stacking one on top of the other. Sit back and you can open the knees as widely or as narrowly as is comfortable for you and just take a gentle seat here. If the tops of your thighs are feeling stiff, you can give yourself a little rub down here. Otherwise, just settle in, breathe. Keep your spine and your trunk nice and tall. Keep your crown and your neck reaching for the sky. Keep your collar line relaxing away from your ears. Ease your way from here into a traditional down dog when you're ready. Think 4-point kneel. Tuck your toes under, bum pikes up. Start to play with a double heel lift. Looking for that drop down through the heels as you make them heavy. Maybe ending in the drop down, then looking off the front of your mat and holding here. Trying to anchor through your heels as best you can while looking off the front of your mat for a few slow counts. Then relax your crown, nice and heavy like a bell, towards the floor. Ease your way onto the tips of your fingers. We're going to do a little hop up with the cross of the feet to find our way to Sukhasana, right foot in front. Bend the knees, find your relaxed dog. When you're ready, take that little hop, and as you hop, cross the right ankle in front of the left. Find your way to a Sukhasana seat. Sitting up nice and tall, taking a moment to tuck your feet comfortably in front with your bum bones equally weighted, wrapping your hands around your knees and just finding a nice tall stretch through the trunk. Taking the biggest breath that you can, expanding your ribs in 4 dimensions, and on an exhale, you're going to twist right, keeping your bum bones equally weighted, grabbing hand to opposite knee, pulling in with your right hand, left hand, resisting with your right knee. Take a nice long exhale, and when you've taken a full exhale, just give me a few deep recovery breaths, holding the twist. Inhaling and exhaling gently through the nose, trying to keep your weight center aligned and holding that detoxifying twist. Then unravel the twist. Find your way into a butterfly line, bringing the soles of your feet together. You can wrap around the ankles, you can wrap around the feet. Maybe use your elbows. Give me a slight little spine stretch forward. Try to open up through the groin, keeping belly to spine. Then place your fingertips on the mat behind you. Start to stretch the legs out into a little straddle, and maybe you want to play with that movement dynamically, alternating between a bend and an extend through the legs. giving the back chain of the legs an opportunity to just warm into the straddle seat, Upavista Konasana. Then maybe just sitting up here nice and tall, trying to extend the line of the legs, keeping toes to sky. Maybe you'd like to add a little fold, maybe placing the hands on the outer quadrant of your legs, sliding the arms along as you come into a gentle fold, thinking forward to floor, and you could place a block or a bolster or a pillow on the floor in front of you if you like. Peel back up into a nice tall seat. Come back into Sukhasana this time, left leg in front of right. Take a moment to check the weight on your bum bones, sitting up nice and tall, looking for that stretch to the line of the spine, almost trying to come out through the hips and grow your whole trunk to the sky. Take a nice big breath in. Open up those ribs in 4D. On an exhale, twist left, allowing the ribs to fall in, grabbing hand to opposite knee, keeping your weight center aligned and just holding here for a few soft recovery breaths. When you're ready, undo the twist and find your way into a butterfly line. Maybe actively using those elbows to open up through the groin area. Getting a nice little L-lean spine stretch through the spine. Find your way from here into your working straddle line, alternating between a V, bend, and extend through the legs. Giving yourself a few dynamic rounds, and then maybe when you're mentally and physically ready, hold the straddle. Maybe coming into that little fold, sliding the hands down along the outer quadrant of your leg. So hold the fold. Lead your way back up. Find your way back into either Sukhasana or a half lotus line, stacking the right foot on top of the left thigh with the heel tucked in, nice and close to the inside of the left hip bone. Take a moment to just stretch the top of the right foot into the right ankle, keeping your palms pressing gently down so that you're working the stretch into the top foot. Big breath in. We're going to find that same rotational twist. Press the right knee away and hold. Unravel to find your way back into a butterfly line. Look for that little spine stretch. Look for those active elbows today. Keep the soles of your feet gently pressing into one another as you hold Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. Find your way back into that working straddle line. Hold your next straddle. Find that fold forward. Maybe you'd like to wrap around from the inside and grab the undersole of your feet this time. Maybe you'd like to rest on one cheek. Lead your way back where you're ready, finding your way back into Sukhasana, left leg in front, or half lotus, left leg on top. Take a moment to settle the weight of your bum bones. Look for that length through the spine. Big breath in. When you're ready, find your rotation and your press to the left. Maybe peeking over the back end of your mat as you hold that twist for a few counts. Ease your way into a butterfly line when you're ready. Work those elbows, work the spine, work the feet. Keep your belly button gently pulled in, so think navel to spine. Working straddle line comes next. Hold, slide forward, maybe wrapping around with the inside of the feet. Maybe resting the opposite cheek on the floor this time. When you're ready, lean back up. Decide how you'd like to end off today's practice. You can maybe gently find your way onto the back into corpse pose. You could even come into a bridge-like setup, lying on the back with your knees bent and the soles of your feet connected to the floor. Or you can come into a cross-legged seat of your choice, maybe a half or a full lotus. Maybe it's just in Sukhasana. Pick a pose. We're going to end with a little bit of breath work. We're going to play with 3 breath exercises: sun breath, moon breath, and alternative nostril breathing, doing 5 rounds of each breath. Take your right hand, take the middle and index finger, placing them on your third eye. With the thumb, we're going to control the opening and the closing of the right nostril. With your ring finger, you're going to control the opening and the closing of your left nostril. All right, close your eyes, take your focus in. We're going to do 5 rounds of sun breath. So you're going to close your left nostril, you're going to take a big inhale right, close the right nostril, exhale left. Do 5 more rounds like this, only inhaling right and only exhaling left. We're not going to add retention of the breath, we're just going to focus on the inhale and the exhale, isolating the side that we're inhaling through. Pingala, activating our sun side, building up a little bit of heat energy. When you've done roughly 5 rounds, you're going to relax your hand to the tops of your knee. You're going to take 3 or 4 recovery breaths. Then we're going to reverse the exercise, coming into moon breath. Place your middle and index finger on your third eye. Close the right nostril, inhale only left. Close left to exhale only right. Give me 4 or 5 more rounds, only inhaling left and only exhaling right as you come into a little Ida or moon breath. Then relax both hands to the top of your thighs. Give me a few recovery breaths. Now let's marry the two together, coming into an alternating nostril breath. Placing your middle and index finger on the third eye. Close the right nostril, take a big inhale left. Close the left nostril, exhale right. Then inhale right, close it, open and exhale left. Inhale left, close it, open and exhale right. Start to find your alternating inhale and exhale rhythm. Make this your last cycle through. Modified Anulum Vilum, alternate nostril breathing. Not focusing so much on the ratio today, but just the pattern. Then relax both hands either to the floor or to the tops of your thighs, depending on whether you are seated or in corpse pose. When you're ready, keep your eyes closed and your focus inward, and just bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart, forming a gentle connection. Remember that positivity thrives when you accept imperfections and acknowledge life's unpredictability. With those thoughts, let's end off today's practice on the words Namaste. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I do hope that you enjoyed today's practice. Till next time, keep it light.